Hello and welcome to the Cali Water Ag video series on California's Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, commonly referred to as MLRP. MLRP is a new program created to help address groundwater overdraft and rebalance California's water resources, while also providing community and environmental benefits through land repurposing and irrigated agriculture throughout the state. More details in this video series. Part 1.1 is an introduction to California's new MLRP program. This video will provide an introduction as to why the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, or MLRP, was created in California. I will cover the program objectives, program structure, and eligible program applicants. I will also provide insight into what made round one of funded grants successful and review the block grant structure. All right, let's get started. The need to reduce groundwater use in agricultural regions stems from extended drought conditions and the over-reliance and over-pumping of groundwater to meet agricultural needs, especially during drought years. The goal of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, or SGMA, is to reduce the negative outcomes of groundwater overpumping, commonly known as the 6 sins of SGMA. These include the lowering of water levels of rivers and streams, lowering of groundwater levels, increasing contaminated water, land subsidence or sinking land, reduced groundwater storage due to sinking lands, and increased seawater intrusion, most prominent in coastal agricultural regions. For more details on SGMA and the 6 sins of SGMA, check out the Cali Water Ag San Joaquin Valley Water and Land Use series. The Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, or SGMA, is California's new groundwater law passed in 2014. SGMA aims to address groundwater overdraft and the 6 sins of SGMA in critically overdrafted basins by 2040. The map shows the state's critically overdrafted basins in purple, which includes most basins in the San Joaquin Valley and coastal basins in the Salinas Valley. Although the implications of SGMA remain mostly unknown, studies have projected a 10 to 20% reduction in irrigated farmland in the San Joaquin Valley by 2040 to address groundwater overdraft under SGMA and rebalance water resources under increasing drought conditions in the state. Unmanaged and uncoordinated land fallowing across the state could have detrimental impacts on agricultural communities, like affecting the agricultural economy and labor, and could result in a random patchwork of fallow land and increased dust and air pollution. Rather than have uncoordinated and unmanaged land fallowing, what if we could reimagine fallowed lands in a way that strategically addresses groundwater overdraft and air pollution and provides benefits to underserved communities and the environment? Well, the California Department of Conservation's Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, or MLRP, was created to do just that. The MLRP was created to support proactive, coordinated regional and basin-scale efforts to achieve groundwater sustainability. The Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, or MLRP, goals also include supporting long-term repurposing of land and multi-benefit opportunities that convert land to less water-intensive water uses while maintaining natural and working lands, rewilding landscapes, including through the creation or restoration of habitat such as pollinator, wetland, upland, and riparian habitat, creation of multi-benefit recharge areas, restoring floodplains, transitioning irrigated land to dryland farming and non-irrigated rangeland, transitioning to less water-intensive crops, including for native seed production, planting cover crops or conservation cover, the reestablishment of tribal land uses, implementation of tribal cultural practices, facilitation of renewable energy projects that have an overall net greenhouse gas reduction, creation of parks or community recreation areas, incentive payments to landowners, farmers, and ranchers to implement multi-benefit land repurposing projects that create a public benefit for at least 10 years, land acquisitions to facilitate land repurposing and protect repurposed land uses, voluntary land transfers to tribes or qualified public entities to facilitate land repurposing and protect repurposed land uses, and easement acquisitions, including conservation easement and flood easement acquisitions, to facilitate land repurposing and protect repurposed land uses. MLRP goals also include providing drought relief, supporting regional efforts to sustain land-based economies impacted by groundwater sustainability measures, create or restore wildlife habitat connectivity, support nature-based solutions to reduce impacts of hazards on lives, property, and the economy in overdrafted groundwater basins, and prioritize the achievement of disadvantaged community benefits. The key features of the MLRP program include block grants of up to $10 million, funding available for tribes, requires inclusive planning, and eligible costs include education, engagement, planning, project development, and implementation, and it allows for permanent and term projects greater than 10 years. The statewide support entity is also available to provide technical assistance and facilitate collaboration and learning among grantees. I'll provide more information on the statewide support entity shortly. So now let's review the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program, or MLRP, structure. The Department of Conservation is the grant administrator in consultation with California Department of Food and Agriculture, Department of Water Resources, and the State Water Resources Control Board. Grant recipients include regional block grants, which include groundwater sustainability agencies, tribes, public agencies, and local non-governmental organizations. Funding for tribes, and the statewide support entity, which comprises of Environmental Defense Fund, self-help enterprises with support from environmental incentives. Grant deliverables for the regional block grants include multi-benefit agricultural land repurposing plans, design and implementation of land repurposing projects, education and outreach, and permitting and monitoring for land repurposing projects. Grant deliverables for funding for tribes include the design and implementation of multi-benefit agricultural land repurposing projects. And grant deliverables for the statewide support entity include coordination among block grant recipients and community and capacity building. The statewide support entity is comprised of Environmental Defense Fund and self-help enterprises with support from environmental incentives. The statewide support entity provides training and technical assistance, connects block grant recipients to resources and implementation partners, engages disadvantaged communities, tribes, and socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers, and supports survey development and support of monitoring of engagement and success. The statewide support entity facilitates community of practice and develop learning agendas, and supports the development of reporting metrics and theories of change, reporting tools, and coordinate with the Department of Conservation, and coordinates external communication about program work and helps build awareness of the program. The statewide support entity has elected to form an advisory committee to provide a range of perspectives and expertise that will help ensure that the statewide support entity is appropriately providing resources and guidance to block grantees that will allow them to achieve the broad goals of the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program. The advisory committee provides high-level policy input related to program implementation, helps connect grantees to other funding opportunities and planning initiatives, and advises on specific aspects of the program. Members include representatives from organizations focused on environmental conservation, working lands, disadvantaged communities, and tribes, including the Tule Basin Land and Water Conservation Trust, Sustainable Conservation, California Farm Bureau, UC Davis Extension, Community Alliance with Family Farmers, Wolf Farming, Allensworth Progressive Association, Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, and Community Water Center. Based on block grantee needs and interests, the statewide support entity leverages experts in various fields as implementation partners to provide specific technical assistance to block grantees and entities applying for repurposing funding. The Nature Conservancy provides block grantees technical assistance and block grant deliverable support. For example, the Nature Conservancy and the statewide support entity prepared a field trip to Tulare County, California in April 2023 to showcase example land repurposing projects. Eligible block grant and tribal grant applicants include nonprofits, public agencies like groundwater sustainability agencies, and tribal governments. Successful first-round funding applicants demonstrated strong water and land use management foundations, diverse partnerships, and a commitment to generating multiple benefits through land repurposing projects. 4 regions were awarded funding in Round 1. In the Kauai Subbasin for Kauai Delta Water Conservation District and the Greater Kauai GSA, in the Lower Salinas Valley for the California Marine Sanctuary Foundation, in Madera County for the County of Madera GSA, and in the Tule Subbasin for Pixie Irrigation District GSA. To emphasize the importance of diverse partnerships in the successful Round 1 funding applicants, let's take a look at the organizations and collaborations represented across the 4 block grants and within each block grantee. The first 4 block grant recipients represent 28 partner organizations and 45 collaborators. This is a large and diverse group of stakeholders and local leaders working on land repurposing. Now let's take a look at what the block grant looks like. Funding is distributed across 6 main categories or eligible costs: planning of land repurposing plans, project and permitting design, project implementation, building partner capacity, outreach and education, and project monitoring. And at least 50% of the grant funds need to be spent on project permitting and design and project implementation. In summary, the Multibenefit Land Repurposing Program, or MLRP, supports projects that increase regional capacity to repurpose low-priority irrigated agricultural land to reduce the reliance on groundwater while also providing community health, economic well-being, water supply, renewable energy, and climate benefits. Community members and farmers are encouraged to get involved. Here's how. Provide feedback on new MLRP guidelines. Work with the regional block grant team. This includes partnering on Round 2 block grant applications, collaborating with new and existing block grant teams, and supporting the engagement, planning, and project development. And get involved with the statewide support entity. You can join a monthly meeting or field trip as a guest speaker. You can become an implementation partner or become a part of the advisory committee. Let's take a look at what the MLRP Round 2 timeline looks like. Draft guidelines and public workshop was held on Tuesday, December 13th of 2022. The draft guideline public comment period closed on December 30th, 2022. Solicitation notices and applications were released on February 1st, 2023. Applications were due March 29th of 2023, and expect for awards to be announced on June 1st, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and share it with family and friends. Subscribe to Cali Water Ag to stay tuned on upcoming videos on the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the video comments or send an email to caliwaterag@gmail.com as seen on the screen. Thank you again for tuning in, and special thanks to the Multi-Benefit Land Repurposing Program's statewide support entity and the Department of Conservation for funding and editorial support.